Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining me at this time in this tutorial. I would first like to thank all the students who are regularly liking and sharing the videos in their groups. So, as I promised you in the previous class, we'll be talking about some advanced things of Py. But first of all, I need to check whether everything is going fine or not. Just give me a short moment. Actually, I think I got disconnected. I just got disconnected for a while. Just a second, let me just check whether I am live or not at present. Okay, YouTube is showing me that I am live, but I think there is some issue. I need to resolve it before I proceed. Really sorry for the inconvenience caused. Kindly bear with me. So that's the game, which we are going to develop today, and we'll be using Pi games for the same. So as you can see, we have this player of ours over here with this. It's with the this yellow car, and I can control this yellow car with the help of the direction keys, and the red car which you're seeing is the enemy player, right? And as you can see, the speed is increasing continuously, and that's where the game will over when the yellow car will collide with the green one, right? So that's what we are going to develop today. Let's begin coding the game. So what all things we have to do first, that's what I would like to tell you. So we need to import the main module, which is the random module, right? And then we need to import the pygame module. Okay, and from time module we'll be using, sorry, from time we are going to make use of sleep. Okay, that's again a feature of this time module with the help of which we can do some very amazing things. I'll tell you in the later part of this tutorial what all things can we do with the help of this sleep. Okay, let's now define a class for our player, which is that yellow car which I just showed you. So with this name, I am going to define a class car racing, and let's now make use of this init function. Just a second, yeah, init function, and then we need to make use of this self parameter. So whatever basic things we learned in the previous couple of lectures about pygame, the same things I am using again here, right? So that you can relate everything with those basic things that we learned in the previous lectures, right? And the things are going to be very easy for you. You don't have to worry about anything. The coding is very easy, okay, of this game. So you can go ahead and use this init function, and then we can have this pygame.init. As I've told you, this is very much required, right? And why we use this pygame.init? So that the game doesn't show any compatibility issues, right? Then self.display we can use. Okay, that let's now set the width and height of the window. So I would like to keep it 100, the width of the window, and then we can have something for the height. So height, I would like to keep it 600. I think 600 is going to be a good option. And what color would you like to see in the background? So that's how you can define it. So I would like to see a black color, because when we ran the game, it was a black color window which was visible to us. Let me show it to you one more time, no problem. And I need to close this. Yeah. So this is the black color window, and on this black color window we have this green path and the road. Okay, so self dot black, and as you guys know very well, for black we have r is equal to 0, the value of g is also equal to 0, and the value of b is also equal to 0. Then we can have self dot white, Right, so it is totally your call which color you want to use. So I would like to define something for this white also. So 255, 255, 255 are the values of RGB for white color. Then we can have something for the clock. So self dot clock I would like to make use of. Here we can use the same function, that we used in that previous game in which we used pygame. So pygame dot time dot clock. Okay, and C of clock should be in capital. Yeah, perfectly fine. So that's the clock function which we can use for checking a check on the timing part. Then self dot game display, and we can have it none. Okay, and then we need to initialize everything. So that's the reason initialize is the function I need to use. So here it is ZE. Okay, don't get confused over here. Initialize here is we have ZE in this initialize, right? Okay, now it's time for us to define the initialize function, this function. So what we can do, we can simply come out of this init function, and here we can use this keyword def, and let's define this initialize function. So it is your call what name you want to give to this initialize function. I have given this ZE over here. I've used ZE. So we can have a variable, okay, crashed. So if suppose the yellow car which we will be driving, if it will not collide with that red car which is an enemy player, so till the time it will not collide with that, the value of this variable crashed is going to remain false, right? The moment it will collide with that enemy car, the value of this crash will become true. And the main loop that we will be defining in the later part of this video, I'll tell you what all things you have to put in that main loop. So the main loop that we will be defining, so we'll be defining it on the basis of this value of this variable crashed. So right now it is false. If it will become true at any point of time, the window should get closed automatically. Right? That's how we're going to code this game. Self dot car image. Now I am create what I am doing. I'm creating my player. That yellow car, which you can see over here. Just a second. This yellow car is the one which I am able to control with the help of the direction keys. So I'm making it right now. How can we make it? So I have some cars images in my folder in which I've saved this file with race.py name. Let me just show you that folder, and also I would like to show you all the files I have in that folder so that the things can become more clear to you. I think it's in the C drive. Yep, and I have it in this users named folder. So, app data, then local, and then we have this programs named folder. Inside this we have this Python, and here in this racing folder we have all these sprites that I'll be using, right? So car is the name of this image which I'm going to make use of now. So how can we load this image on our game window? I'm going to make use of the same function which I told you about in the previous lectures. You remember I told you about this load function. So with the help of this function, you can load any image you have on your device on your playground which you have created using Python code. So car.png is the complete name of this image, right? Okay, once we are done with loading the image, now we have to define the coordinates of the points where we want to see the car getting reflected initially. So we can simply make use of a variable over here. Let's make it car x something like this. I think that is making some sense also, right? So try to use some sensible variables, okay, so that the things can be clear to you as well as the person who will be using your game. Now here we can define the width and height of the car. So it should be like this. So self dot width, and we can simply multiply it by 0.45 or something around zero point 0.5. So because I don't want the car to cover the whole background, right? That is the reason we need to keep it short. We need to keep it, you know, very small. It should look very small in comparison to the background, so that the user can take a good feel of the game. So car y dot coordinate, in the same way we can define it. Car y dot coordinate, and here we need to have display, right? Okay, car y dot coordinate, and I think we need to replace it with height. That is right. Then we can multiply it by, because I want a greater height. The height should be more than the width. I don't want a square shaped car, so that is the reason I have multiplied it by zero point 0.8. Right. So that's how you have to make the calculation yourself. Then we can have this car width variable over here, and let's make it 49. Right. So that's what you have to do after doing this. So we are done with defining the function which will help us in creating the car, and all the code, sorry, that will help us in creating the car. Now it's time for us to create the enemy car, which is the red car. So what we can do, we can copy this entire code, not from here, we can copy it from this point till this point, and we can simply paste it over here, right? And we just replace this car img with enemy dash car. So it is going to get saved in this variable enemy.car, and I'm going to make use of this very first car, which is enemy underscore car underscore one. So that's the complete name of this image. Let me just change this one to enemy underscore. I hope you guys are able to understand whatever I am doing right now. In case you have any queries, any issues, you're most welcome to let me know about the same. You can put your queries in the comment section so that I can respond to your queries. Right, and the way we have defined coordinates for the point where we would like the yellow car to appear initially, we can define the coordinates for the enemy car also. So for that, I would like to make use of some other variable. Let's make it enemy underscore car underscore statics. So now what we can do, we can initialize this variable with some random value. Now, how can we make the interpreter assign a random value to this variable we have defined over here? So we can simply replace it with, we can make use of this random function, right? Random module. So here we have this function rand range. If you have heard about it, rand range, you can make use of rand int also. It is totally your call. Which one would you prefer? It's 310450, and then we can simply copy this and let's put it over here. And I'm replacing this x with y. Okay, and for this, this y coordinates, we are going to pass a hardcore value to this, because we don't want the location of the car changing along the y-axis. We don't want to change the location of y. We don't want the car's y location to change. It should change along the axis. It should, the position of the car should change along the x-axis, but nothing should happen to its y y value of the coordinates of the point where the car is going to appear. Right, then we can give some speed to the car. So for that, we can again use this self, and we'll have to make use of some other variable. So let's make use of car underscore speed. So whatever speed you want to now give to the enemy car, because we will not be able to, we don't want to control the enemy car. We want it to move automatically itself. The way right now this enemy car is moving over here, in the same way we want this enemy car to move automatically itself, but it should come down, it should appear as if it is coming down, so that we can see the yellow car moving forward. That's the trick we generally use for making this car racing game. Whether whether you're making use of Python or you're making use of some other programming language, we use the same trick in all the platforms. So I have a lot. I've assigned this 5 to this enemies cars sprite speed, and then we can define a variable which can hold for us the width of the car. So the width should be equal to that of what we defined for this car underscore width. Okay, so I'm going to make use of the same number 49, and I'm removing it from here. Or else what we can do, we can make use of another variable with the help of which we can control the height of the car. So we'll have to first replace it with enemy underscore width. I think now this is fine. And here we can change it to car and height. And I would like to keep this height for this enemy's car perfectly fine. Now, the way we have defined the code for creating the enemy's sprite and the main player's sprite, in the same way we can define the code for the background also. What we can do, we can first make use of this self, and let's make use of some variables. So self dot bgimg. Now it's time for us to set the background image. So the path which you're seeing over here, the road and this greenery which you're seeing over here, how can I bring it on my window? So that's the code which I will be making use of. And as you know very well, I have something similar to it over here in this folder. So we can go with this, or else we can go with this also. So for now, I'm making use of this back underscore ground, and it is a JPG image. So if you will use PNG, you will not get the output. However, if you'll replace it with JPG, definitely you will get to see the image on the window, which will appear when you will run the game. Right, and let's enclose it in double inverted commas. You can use single inverted commas also. It's totally your call. Okay, so pygame.image, we are done with loading an image. For the background, it's time for us to set the dimensions, right, of the background. So self.bg underscore x1, and just a second, let me see if everything is going fine on my channel or not. Just give me a very short moment. Okay, so everything is going fine. And welcome, code producer, and thank you very much, Suresh, for joining me at this time in this lecture here. Please don't forget to like and share this video in your groups and make it reach to the maximum students possible, so that they can also, the students who are currently trying to learn uh, coding related things, they can also come and join our this channel named Geeks of Geek School. Right, and if you want to learn the basic things of Python, you can refer to the videos which are there on my channel, and you can learn the basic things. Right, so what we are doing right now, we are defining the coordinates for controlling, we are defining the variables which are going to help us in controlling the dimensions of the playground. So x1 and x2, and this is for the width, And again, this is also for the width, and it's time for us to now define the code y points. So I would be making use of some similar kind of variables. I'm changing it to y1, right? And let's make it 0 because I want it to start from this point, right? And, and to this I am assigning, so to y2 I'm assigning minus 600. Okay, and let's now assign this background a speed also. Now, why I'm assigning a speed to this background? If you have seen my game lab tutorials, you must be knowing the answer. If we want to see something moving on our window, right, on our gaming window, so we can assign some speed to our background. That's one way of making the game appear as if it is moving, right? So that's the trick basically. You can define a moving background, and that's how you can make the background moving. You can assign it a value, you can assign it a speed, and then let's make use of a counter variable also. So initially I would like to keep it 0. So we are done with defining the whole code which is required for the background. Okay, so it's time for us to come out of this function we have defined right on the top. This is the initialize function, and we are done with defining everything for this. It's time for us to create a function for our car. Here I would like to make use of this self first, and then car underscore x coordinate. So these are the three things we'll have to pass as parameter to this function. So that's the function which I would be making use of for my player, right? The yellow car. Just a second, I have to check something on the top whether the names are correct or not. So here it is car x coordinate, car y coordinate, perfectly fine. And here it is car x coordinate. Okay, so everything is perfectly fine. Now I'll have to put a colon. Have I put a colon in the with this initialize? Yes, I have. So let's come down, and now I would like to see my car getting reflected on the window. So as I've told you that the function we can use for displaying anything on our window is the block transfer function. So blit is the name of that function you can use, right? And if you want to know more about blit, you can check my previous tutorials in which I've explained everything about blit in very brief, right? In say until and unless you will check out the basic things, these advanced things which I'm telling you, I don't know whether you'll be able to understand it or not. But in case you find it difficult, you're finding it difficult to understand, please go and check out the basic things. And it's very easy, it's not too hard. If what I think is, if I can do it, then you can also do it. The only thing which is required is the passion for doing all these things. I have a passion for coding, and I love coding a lot, to be very honest with you. Coding has given a lot to me, and it is still giving me a lot, you know. So I would like you guys to really understand the basic things if you want to create something new out of it. These codes are very simple. I've just used this simple keyword for defining the function. Three things I've passed as a parameter to this function, and I used this blit function, simple blit function, for getting the car reflected at this point, right? That's what I have done. So simple logic I have used. If you have any queries related to anything, please put your queries in the comment section. I will definitely respond to all your queries. Now it's time for us to define the function which can help us to create the racing window. I am defining a function with name racing window, and self dot game display again we will use equal to. So here what we can do, we can use the set mode function. If you remember, set mode function is used for setting the dimensions of the window on which we want to see the whole game, right? I'm talking about this window, right on the top of which this Gaurav Kumar Jain is getting reflected. Okay, so it's time for us to set the dimensions of the display. So we can simply make use of set mode, and then we can put these brackets. And here what we have to do, we have to pass the width and height, right? So self dot, so the width I can get it from this display underscore width. And where can I get the height from? I can get the height from I think display height, right? See how simple it is. Okay, so make sure that in case you're not able to, if you're not able to understand these basic things, you go through the lectures. If you're not able to understand these advanced things, you go through the basic things, and you can make these things clear to you yourself. You are the only one who will have to work hard if you really want to understand these coding concepts. Definitely it's very easy. It's not like I can do it or the professionals can do it. Anyone can code any type of game, whether it is an advanced game or a simple game. Remember this thing. Now it's time for us to set this title. The one which I'm able to see right on the top over here. If you want to get something like this on your window, so what you can do, you can make use of set caption property. So simply, just a second, I have to come here. Yeah, so we can have this pygame dot display dot set caption is the name of that property, is the name of that function you can use for setting the caption of your game. So Gaurav car racing show, right? That's what I have defined as a caption. Now it's time for us to call another function which is run car. We'll be defining it afterwards, but for now I'm just putting it over here, run car. Now what are we going to have in this run car function? That's what I would like to tell you. So let's define this function quickly. uh, I'm copying it from here and I'm putting it over here, and let's pass this self as a parameter to this function. Now inside it we are going to have the main loop, which is the while loop again. While not, you remember we defined this self dot crashed variable right on the top. Self dot crashed is initially is equal to false. So while not self dot crashed, which means that while self dot crashed is not equal to false, right? So what should happen? Oh, sorry. While self dot crashed is equal to false, then what should happen? So for event in pygame, so that's how we can check the event, right? So event pygame dot event dot get. Sorry, I'll have to put it here after this. Just a second. Perfect. So while for event in pygame.event is going to fetch for us the event type, and if the event dot type if the event dot type is equal to pygame dot quit, you remember, there is a close button getting reflected right on the top of this window. Let me just show it to you again. I don't know whether you guys have seen my previous tutorial or not, but I have explained everything briefly in that tutorial. So, that's the close button. And if I hit this button, what will happen? The window will get closed. So what is happening, as soon as the user will hit that close button, this event will take place. This quit event will take place. And as soon as the quit event takes place, I would like the value of this variable self.crashed to become what? It should become equal to true, because initially it is false. It should become equal to true, and as soon as it will become true, what will happen? When the interpreter will reach to this loop, it will find this condition false and it will come out of this loop, and finally the game will get over. Right. Similarly, we can define a similar code for the key down also. So we are going to make use of the same lines of code that we used earlier in the previous game. So if, and here inside these brackets we can put event.type. If event.type is equal to pygame dot key down. So this key down will check which key the user has pressed. The name of the key the user has pressed. That's what it will help us in checking. So car sorry self dot car underscore x coordinates. So if suppose the user has pressed the left direction key, now how will I come to know about that? I need to put another if control statement inside this first one, right? So I'm making use of a nested if. So if the event dot type if the event dot type or sorry if the event dot key, right, if the event dot key is equal to pygame dot k underscore left, we can put a colon over here. Then self dot car, it should be inside this second if control statement. Then self dot car's x coordinate. What should happen to this car's x coordinate? It should go down by something like 50 we can make use of. So what will happen, if I'll press left direction key, I will see the car going towards the left side now. Why? Because the value of this x coordinate will go down by 50 every time I will press this left direction key, right? So that's how you can keep a check on the keys which the user will press while playing the game. Similarly, we can copy this whole code and we can put it over here, and let's replace this one with R key. Sorry, let's replace left with R. So if the user will press the right direction key, what should happen? Let's change it to plus. So whatever things I'm defining over here, I am taking it from that game lab tutorials, if you remember. So we used to use the same kind of coding over there also. The only difference between the coding which we used in on code.org and the coding which we are doing here is that this coding is purely object oriented programming language based coding, and that was a JavaScript coding. That's the only difference, but the logic that we are using is completely same. So that code which we learned over there on code.org or Thunkable or on any blog based coding platform, that that is for developing logics, right, so that you can visualize the things. And now the same logic you can use here with this object oriented programming language type of coding. Okay, now it's time for us to come down and let's define inside this for loop self dot game display. And now if you want to fill the display with some color, so you can simply use this fill function. So I would like to fill it with white color. It's totally your call. Which color would you like to fill it with? I can fill it with black color also, because I have both the variables, one with black and the other with white. So this you can use for filling the background with black, and this you can use for filling the background with white. So I prefer white over black generally. That's the reason I have used white over here. Then we can use this self dot back underscore round, right? And okay, so just a second, I'll have to get rid of this. Okay, function. Then it's time for us to define the self dot run enemy underscore car. So that's another function to which I would like to pass some parameters. Self dot enemy. I would like to pass self dot enemy underscore car underscore. We use this start tx, right? So that's the function with the help of which I am going to bring my that enemy car sprite on my gaming window. So self dot enemy car start x we can use over here, and then we can use, so this is the first thing. Then what was the name of the second variable? I'll have to, I think, check it out. So the name of the second variable was, this is fine. Okay, so the name of the second variable was, I think it was same. The only difference was is instead of x we used y, right? That's the only difference. Rest everything was same. So here it was start y. Yeah. So these are the three. These are the two variables you can pass over here to this, and then we can have self dot enemy car start y, and let's change its value to let's make it dependent on the value of the speed of the car, right? Because I want the y part also to change, but not in such a way that it goes out of the window. I want to see it always on the window, right? So we can simply put this enemy underscore car underscore speed, right? Okay, I think that will give us the perfect output. Now it's time for us to check something. So we can use this if control statement. You will very well know about it. Self dot enemy dot car dot, sorry, underscore car. I would like to check the value of start y. So if the value of start y becomes greater than self dot display height, so if it becomes at any point of time greater than the value of display's height, then what should happen? So I would like self underscore, sorry, self dot enemy dot start y to become equal to sorry, to become equal to 0 minus this thing, self dot enemy, and we can use this height, I think. Yeah, that will be great if we'll use height. So what I am doing, I'm trying to change the position of my enemy card sprite, and that's one of the ways you can do it. Then we can use this self dot enemy car start x, and I would like to assign it a random value. If this condition is true, then that this thing should happen. So random dot rand range, again we can use this function rand range, and inside this we can put some random values, like I would like to get some values somewhere around 310 and 450. So I think that's the best we can do for this function. Now what else can we do? Let me just see if I have done everything right, or Is there anything which I have missed? So initialize I've defined, then I defined this car. I'm done with this defining this racing underscore window. I'm done with defining this function named run underscore car, right? Just a second. Okay. And then we set the background color of the display. So that's the main loop, right? And run underscore car is the name of the function in which we have defined this main loop, that is the while loop. Okay. And then here we are checking if the y of the coordinates of the car's enemy car is greater than the display's height or not. And if at any point of time it becomes greater than the display's height, what should happen? Then this should happen. These two things should happen. So we are done with defining this thing also. Let's now define self dot car, and here we can use this self dot car underscore x coordinates, right? And we can use the self dot car y coordinate. So whatever I have done for this enemy car, I have whatever what I have defined over here for the enemy car, I have done the same thing. I've repeated the same thing for our main player also. Self dot high score. It's time for us to set the score part. So we can use that counter variable which we defined right on the top, self dot count. That's how we can call that variable, right? And I would like, whenever the variable is called, its value should get incremented continuously by 1. So that's how we can do it, self dot count plus 1. Now, if at any point of time the value of self dot count, okay, if let's divide it by 100. So if at any point of time this becomes equal to 0, then what should happen? Then I would like the enemy car speed, I would like it to increase. So if the score becomes equal to something which when divided by 100 it gives 0, so the enemy cars should get affected, the enemy cars speed should get increased. That's how we can upgrade the level of our game, okay, at any point of time. So self dot, besides that, the background speed also should increase by 1. Okay, that is, I think that is an excellent code you can use for changing your game speed. Then we can have again this if control statement. So if self dot car y coordinate, if the y coordinate becomes at any point of time, if it becomes smaller than self dot enemy dot start y, right? If it becomes smaller than self, and we can use this also, I think, self dot enemy, where is that, enemy underscore car, where is that height? Yeah, this is the one. So if the sum of this becomes greater than the y coordinate of the car's position, what should happen at that time? Now I would like to do this thing then. So I would like, would like to check this thing also, self dot car underscore x coordinate. So if at that point, if the x coordinate, if the value of the x of the coordinates of the point at which the car is there, yellow car is there, so what should happen? Self dot enemy underscore car underscore start x, and we can put an and logical operator here, self dot car underscore x coordinate. When you will try to understand these things, you will be able to draw a logic out of these things which I am right now defining on the window. So if at any point of time this happens, what should happen? Then self dot crashed, the value of this variable should change and it should become equal to true, so that the game window can get closed automatically, right? And then we can have this pygame dot display. Okay, and let's update everything. So we can use this update function. And besides that, as you guys very well know, for that clock part, we can use this clock dot tick method, which we used in the previous lecture also. So that is going to control the FPS execution of a game. Right, I hope you guys remember about this. Okay, now it's time for us to define, come out of this run car function, and let's define another function with name uh, back underscore ground that we just used, that we just defined. And I told you that I'll be telling you why I have defined this function. So I am now defining the whole code which is required to be placed inside this background road. It is for the green road, which we are able to see when the game gets on. Okay, everything is going fine, I think. Let me just check. Yeah, everything is fine. So what should happen to this background? That's what I would like to define now. So self dot display we can use, sorry, not display, it should be game display, right? That's what we were using right from the beginning. And split function for block transfer. And here, inside these brackets we can make use of this variable inside which the background's image we have saved. So bgimg I think is the name of that variable, right? And inside this we can again use this bg. You remember these coordinates which we defined earlier for the background part. So we are now making use of those coordinates for setting the background on our window. Self.pg underscore x1, and similarly we can define the y part also. So that's where, so from this point the background will start. Okay, similarly we can define the ending point of the background. So I'm copying this whole thing and I would like to put it over here. Let's now make the changes. So here we have to change it to x2, I think. Yeah, and here we can change it to y2. See how simple the code is. It's just that you'll have to understand this. You'll have to take some time out of your busy schedule and you'll have to try to understand these simple things. If you will be able to understand these things, definitely you will be able to grab a good hold of everything related to coding, right? You don't have to worry about anything because these things are very simple. If I can do this, anyone can do it. That's what I feel. And then we can, make the value of y1 dependent on this speed variable, so that we can see the background changing at every point. Similarly, we can make the y2's value dependent on this speed variable like this, right? And now it's time for us to check something. So for that we'll be using the self control statement. So if at any point of time this self dot bg underscore y1 value of this becomes equal to or greater than self dot display. So I would be comparing it with the display's height, the way I compared that y coordinate of the enemy's car with the display height. The same way I would like to compare it with the display's height. So if it is so, then what should happen? Self dot bg underscore y1, it should become equal to minus 600. So that's how we can make the background repeating. Okay, so that's for repeating back, making the background repeating. And similarly we can do the same thing for the y2 also. So y2, if it at any point of time it becomes greater than or equal to display height, so what should happen? Same thing should happen with y2 also, right? Now we are left with two more functions. One for this, you know, enemy car. So I defined this function earlier, I think, enemy underscore car, right? And here we can use this self. Then let's have two different parameters inside it. So one is this thing x, and then we can have this another variable thing y. Let's say, okay, self dot game display we can use again. Okay, and let's use this block transfer function. So blit is the one which I will be making use of, and simply what we have to do, we have to use this self dot enemy underscore car. Okay, and then we can put thing x and thing y like this, right? Simply you have to pass these two things as parameters to the split function. It's time for us to define the function which is going to help us in getting the score reflected on the game window. So self and count is a variable, remember, which we defined for keeping a check on the score part. Okay, so what type of font would you like to use? That's what we can define first. So Pygame, there is a function named font you can use for defining the font style. So sys, inside this we have this sys font. I don't know whether you know about this function or not, but yes, with the help of this you can define the font style whatever you want. So I would like to see it in Times New Roman. That will be a good idea, right? And what is the font size? So I would like to see, I think 20 is going to be a good option. Similarly, we can use this text for getting the some text reflected on the window. So what is the text you would like to see getting reflected? I would like to see something like this: score, and then we can have a colon. And now it's time for us to convert this, whatever the value of count is going to be, you would like to first convert it into a string, and then this concatenation operator will add this string and this string together, and we'll be able to see it together at the same point. I'm making it true, and in which color you would like to see the text getting reflected. So I would like to see it getting reflected in white. I think that's again a good option. I prefer white, as I've told you, over black, and that's the only thing why I generally use, you know, white color. It's now time for us to display it on the window. Now, how can we display it on the window? That's what we have to now define the code for. So we can simply make use of self dot game display, and for getting the score reflected on the window, we can make use of this split function, and inside this we can pass text as the parameter, and at what point you would like to see the score getting reflected. I want to see it getting reflected at this point, 0 comma 0. Right, it's time for us to define the final main loop. If name is equal to main, right? You must have heard about this if control statement. We generally use it. So if it is equal to main, what should happen? So car racing equal to car car racing, and we can, I would like to call it car racing, and car racing dot racing underscore window. So we'll be able to see the whole game getting reflected on the window now. Let me now run this code and see what's going to happen. What am I going to get as a final output? Okay, so it is showing me an error. Now, what is this error? Why is it showing us an error? Okay, it should be Y2, right? Let me again run this game, no problem. So what is the error? The error is, okay, just give me a short moment. I am, yes, so we were on this point. Why we guys are getting this error over here? That's what we have to find out. Okay, so this code says that if bg underscore y2 is greater than equal to self dot display, unindent does not match any outer indentation level. Okay. Okay, I need to put it over here like this. I think now it will run good. Will not show any out. Okay, we were able to see the window, right? But we just got closed. What happened? Int object is not callable. Okay. So where are we getting this error? Car and so everything is perfectly fine, but I need to check this line number 103, line number 44, 49. No problem. Let me quickly check it. Line number 103. Let's check first. So why this is showing us an error? That's what we have to check out first. So if name is equal to car underscore racing is equal to car racing, this is fine. Then dot racing underscore window, this is also fine. Now why is this showing us an error? So this is line number 103, right? And let me come to this line number 103. It says line number 44, self dot run card. Line number 49. Let's first check these two lines, no problem. So line number 49, here we are getting this error, run car. So run car is the one which is showing us some error, right? So run car self, this is fine. Then we have this for event in event.get. This is going to help us in fetching the event. Okay, and okay, we have used this round brackets with quit, but it's not a function, right? It is a simple property. So I think that's the mistake which we were making. Let me run this code again. Okay, so we are able to see this game and see, right? And okay, so the code is perfectly fine, right? We're able to see this yellow car, we are able to see the background, and we're able to move the yellow car on this beautiful background also. Okay, perfect. Fine, so it is working perfectly fine. Right now, we are not able to see the score. right? So that part I'm going to tell you tomorrow. Maybe I will also tell you how can you put a sound, you can add a sound to your game. So that's the first part of this car racing game, and we are going to shoot the second part tomorrow at the same time at 5:30 p.m. Now before leaving you guys, uh, I would like to check if I have something on this chat box to answer. Just give me a short moment, and if you have any queries, please put it in the chat box so that I can respond to your queries. I hope you guys liked this lecture a lot and you understood each and every line of code which I have used for creating this amazing background and everything whatever I have showed you. Okay, I'm not able to see any queries right now. Definitely, if you'll come across any queries, you can put it in the chat box and I'm going to see it and I'm going to respond to your queries. Okay, and make sure when I'm coding my projects, you are there always, because live, if you are checking out something live, definitely you are able to at that time you can also give me some input. Most of the time, not most of the times, sometimes it happens that I stuck in between, or it may happen in future also that I may stuck in between, so you guys can help me out in finding out the solution of the problem, right? Because if you're writing such a big code, then definitely it may be possible that you may come across some issue which may take time for you to resolve. But because as a viewer, you know about what I am doing more than more than me, to be very honest with you. So you guys can definitely tell me exactly what the issue is, why the output is, why we are not able to get the desired output. Okay, so I would be needing your help definitely. So please do like and share this video, and also don't forget to check out this video in your leisure time. Try to code this game on your own. If you come across any issue, jot down that issue and we can have a discussion in the next online coding class, which I'm going to take tomorrow. What you can do, you can check out this tutorial in case you come across any issue. You can come tomorrow in this session which I'm going to take at 5:30, and you can share with me your issues in the chat box of that video which I'm going to shoot tomorrow on this beautiful channel named Geeks for Geek School. I hope that makes a sense to you. Okay, so thank you very much all of you for being a part of this tutorial. Have a great day and have a great life ahead. Bye bye everyone. Take care and I see you in the next lecture.